Om Shanti. In today's Murli, Baba gives us the song, Tum Mat Pita Hum Balak. So that's not the song per se. The song is Dukhiyo Par Kuch Rahm Karo Maa Baap Hamare. But Baba in the Murli mentions this song also, which is Tum Mat Pita Hum Balak Tere, Tumri Kripa Se Sukh Ghane Re. So in the world it is said that God is the mother and father, and because of him we receive a lot of happiness, constant happiness. And then in the Murli today Baba says that I am known as the creator, and I create for happiness. I create a happy world. I give children the inheritance of happiness. And then we are here in Kali Yuga, end of Kali Yuga, where every child is suffering. And then Baba is teaching us the method. So he's again, the creator has come and he's teaching us how to go back to that original world where there is happiness, and happiness is the birthright of godly children, and God's children should not be suffering. God's children should not be living a life of suffering. But there is so much which was not original to us and to this world, which has now crept in, because of which there is so much misery. And then Baba is teaching us how to shift this whole paradigm. And so there are so many things that every day Baba teaches. And that is the key to happiness. That is the key to a happy life in Sangam Yuga, and also the key to the creation of a new world of happiness. And then we have to ask ourselves, how much of it do we imbibe? Yes, because even this knowledge, I remember when I came to Baba, I did not know that I am experiencing the world in my mind. I had no idea I'm doing that. And I had no idea that my mind is my mind, and I can choose to experience anything and everything the way I want to. But then Baba gave me the idea, and then I tried practicing it, I applied it, and I could see that yes, my mind is my organ and I have complete sway over it. And if I choose to think a certain way, choose to create a certain feeling, I can do that. But then I have to ask myself, how much of it have I applied? Because Baba is giving us very powerful knowledge about, so this truth that Baba tells us, that you are a soul, and the man, buddhi and sanskar are your organs. Yes, they are part of you. They are not part of the physical world. The body is a part of the physical world, right? The body is a part of the physical world. But Baba says that if you ask your body to do something, it does. Baba says, you ask your hand to lift itself, it does. But then the mind, buddhi and the sanskar are your organs. They are not part of the physical world. And still, why do you say that I can't control my mind? Or I cannot stop thinking about this or focusing on this? or I want to operate with this sanskar, but the other sanskar emerges. So Baba says, now you have knowledge. So the first chapter, it's such a powerful lesson. The first chapter itself is such a powerful lesson that I am a soul and I have the man, buddhi, and sanskar are my organs, and I have complete choice over how to use them. And then, because I have not exercised this power, this ability, that's why right now it's a little dormant, but I can activate it again by knowing my power and operating in accordance with this knowledge. So Baba is today saying that you say that God comes to give happiness, and when God comes, we receive happiness. So I'm telling you the method, I'm giving you the lost knowledge because of which you are in this unhappy condition, and I'm giving you the directions on which, if you operate, you will again go back to happiness. But Baba says, do you follow these directions? Is the main thing. And then Baba says, remember me. Every day, Baba says, remember me. Now, remember me. So, your experience of life is also connected to the one you remember. And Baba says, remember me because I am the ocean. I am the ocean of knowledge. So if you remember me, you will always be in a state of awareness. You will always feel the peace and happiness that I am the ocean of. And I will narrate this one thing. So the experience of life changes when you do everything in the remembrance of Baba. And when you remember Baba, you also remember how Baba looks at you. So, you become, so you are colored by the drishti of the one you remember. So, when you remember your parents, you become very emotional because they look at you as emotional beings. Yes. So, you always emerge that part of you which coincides with the one you remember. So when you remember your teacher, you also position yourself as a good student. Yes. So when you remember your school teacher, you will remember that you were a very good student. When you remember your art teacher, you will remember you were a bad artist or a good artist or whatever. So you also remember your sense of self which corresponds to the one you remember. And Baba says, I see you as divine and pure and peaceful and powerful. Nobody else does that. And when you remember me, you also are in self-awareness. And that's why Baba says that always remember me. Don't remember anybody else. And there is another reason why Baba says, remember me, which is your final thoughts will determine your final destination. Antmate Sogati. So you will go to the one you remembered in your final moments. And your final thoughts will be determined by who you remember always. And I will tell you this very beautiful sharing that somebody did some days back. And that sister was telling me that her husband, he's very ill physically and mentally. He's not sound these days. He's very old. So she says that, Didi, he only remembers the very old stuff. So, his brothers, his siblings, his village. He remembers all those things. And he doesn't remember even his grandchildren. So he doesn't recall the names of his grandchildren. His memory has faded a lot and he only remembers the very old stuff. And then she says that Didi, all night he keeps calling out to his brothers. So he keeps taking names. He has 5 brothers and he keeps calling out to them all night. And then he gets very miserable. He says, he has also not come. He is also not asking me. He's not available for me. And this is how he's going on about life. And I don't know how to help him, because making him understand anything these days has become very difficult. It's only that part, that sedimentation which is there, which is emerging off and on, and that's how he's experiencing life. And I want him to experience some peace, but he's not experiencing that peace, Didi. How can I help? So I said, how can you help someone who didn't take care to help himself? You cannot help anybody. You see, Baba today in the Murli tells something very, very important. Baba says, when you make a mistake, correct it. If you are not correcting your mistakes, you will soon develop habits. And then even if you want to correct your habits at some point, it will become very, very difficult. And this is why Baba today says, you must understand whatever you are doing right now is for yourself. Because if we follow Baba's directions, we are creating sanskars which will help us transition into Satyug. So when we get old, the brain and the body doesn't function very well. Then it is the sanskars that drive us. And if somebody doesn't take care to create good sanskars, and the best sanskars are soul consciousness, remembrance of Baba, not remembering bodily beings, not remembering the bitterness and sorrow of life, not remembering not having these sanskars of fear and guilt and shame and hurt. So Baba says, I am telling you everything which can help you create those sanskars which will serve you very well in your final moments. And your final moments will determine your onward journey. So Baba says, just think about what you are doing, because if I am practicing what Baba is teaching, then I am creating those sanskars. And if I am listening to the Murli but not doing that for myself, then those sanskars won't be created. And in the end, we will not be able to be helped by anybody. So you see, that person I'm talking about, they have money, they have everything. And let me tell you that that person was a child of Baba also. He listened to Murli also for some time. But even when he was listening to Murli, he was always caught up in the wrong things. He always said, Didi, I have doubt in this. Didi, I have confusion in this. How do I guarantee that God has come? Or I heard this from somebody about the organization. I heard that from somebody. And then he just wasted his time in all of that and didn't do what Baba asked him to do. And today he cannot be helped. Even if I want to help him, even if I read the Murli to him, even if I ask him to be soul conscious, even if he wants to be soul conscious, his brain doesn't support him, his body doesn't support him. So Baba says, just understand that all these points are for you. And Baba says, note the points. This is God's wisdom for your present and your future. And God, the Supreme Soul, is talking to me, the soul, his child, and asking me to create a fortune which will not only serve me at the end of this life, but for the coming 21 births. And Baba says, don't take this lightly. Note the points that I give you, practice them. And Baba today says that there are many children who note the points, but they don't turn the page and revise it. And Baba today says, do you think your future generations are going to read it? For them, you are noting it down. So Baba says, there are not going to be any future generations. You are the ones. If you do it, you do it. If you miss it, you miss it. That's it. The game finishes very soon. So Baba says, just understand that this small window of creation of fortune is for me. And then Baba says, this body consciousness, getting caught up in sensual pleasures and, thinking about material stuff and relationships and this and that. Baba says, don't lose your time doing that, because very soon you will understand that it's time to go back and you are only taking your sanskars with you. So we must imbibe everything that Baba says. We must apply everything that Baba says. Whether it is, and today I mentioned about practicing soul consciousness and operating like a master of my man, buddhi and sanskar. So once I have realized that I am the master of my man, buddhi and sanskar, then I cannot blame the conditions, whether it is any behavioral or physical or circumstantial condition. I cannot blame it, because that is not what determines how I think and I feel. I am the master. So even if things outside are a certain way, there is no obligation on me to feel like that and respond to it correspondingly. I can feel differently and I can respond according to my elevated sanskars. So Baba says that you have the choice. I have given you the choice. So earlier, because there was no knowledge of this choice was not available. But now this choice is available to you. So do that. And Baba says, don't remember bodily beings, because bodily beings, the remembrance of bodily beings is only going to give you misery at the end. So come out of that habit of remembering bodily beings and come into the habit of remembering Baba. And Baba says, this is what you have to do now when your brain and your body is supporting you, the soul. Because all of this work has to be done in this physical world. And when they stop supporting you, then you will be on your own with your sanskars. And then you cannot create new sanskars. You will create new sanskars right now. So do that. And then today Baba gives us a lot of Srimad about many things. So first thing is, Baba says, there are many children who don't write a letter to Baba. Yes, so Baba says, you must write a letter to Baba. Do you write a letter to Baba? How many of you write a letter to Baba? You must write a letter to Baba. You see, Baba loves you, so he writes a letter to you every day. And what makes you think that you shouldn't write a letter back to Baba? The Murli is Baba's letter, right? And you see that Baba communicates through the Murli. So why don't we write a letter to Baba? Our relationship is based on Baba's Murli. So if Baba has taken the step to build this relationship by writing a letter every day to me, I must also write a letter to Baba. And if you write a letter to Baba, you will see that your relationship with Baba starts to change. It will become very, very practical because you're practically communicating. It's very important. So just develop this one habit of writing a letter to Baba every day. And once you start writing a letter to Baba, you will see that you can practically feel the relationship you have with Baba. See, when you receive a letter, you feel the relationship. Yes, you are able to experience the relationship. When you write a letter, the missing component will also get it back into place. So, write a letter to Baba and write a letter in answer to what Baba is writing to you. So every day, Baba is giving you a letter telling you something. Yes, Baba is speaking something in the Murli. So write a letter as an answer to the Murli today. So write a letter about what you understood from the Murli or what you are trying to imbibe in your life. And you see that I remember this incident where there was this one brother and he couldn't get over a relationship in the past. And then I said, how long was it? So he said it was 20 years. 20 years back, that relationship was there. And then he said, I can't get over it. So I said, then what keeps you attached to that relationship? Because do you talk to that person? So he said, no, I have not had any communication for 20 years. So I said, then what keeps you attached? I don't understand. Like, how can you remember somebody for 20 years without any communication? So he said, I have 300 letters from that person. And I keep reading it. And there are also some letters I wrote which are there with me, and I keep revising that. So that's the time I realized the power of letters and how a letter can. So, these letters can actually sustain a relationship for 20 years without any physical contact. And then I said, if you want to get rid of the relationship, just burn the letters first. So if that is what you are wanting, then I think the first thing you have to do is burn the letters. Then he said, I don't have the courage. So I said, you bring them to me, I'll burn them in front of you. You don't worry. So I helped him burn those letters. So that is how he got rid of that relationship. And you see, this is so interesting. So Baba says that in the Murli, Baba also talks about this beautiful thing that you make so many promises to Baba, don't you? Every day we make certain promises, we have certain realizations. So Baba says, just pen them down, because when you don't note it down, it just vanishes after some time. So you pen them down, and then when you have noted it, revise them, and that will keep you very anchored in your Brahmin life. So that intoxication of the relationship and the promises that you've made to Baba will help you in your journey in this Brahmin life. And make this a habit. Because when it comes to Baba, relationship with Baba has been so abstract in bhakti that we try to keep it abstract right now also. So, for with every human being, we try to have a very practical, concrete relationship. But with God, it is all airy fairy. It's never practical. So Baba says, now I've practically come to you. So do the same things you do with humans. So write letters to me, note down the promises that you make with me, and then revise them so that it keeps you anchored in your journey as a Brahmin. And then Baba today says that um, if you make a small mistake but don't speak about it, the mistake will continue to increase. And let me tell you that here what's important is knowing that our understanding of mistakes has changed after we came to Baba. So, earlier only doing something that we shouldn't do was a mistake. Yes? What did you count as a mistake earlier? Doing something that you shouldn't do. So when you shouted at somebody, there were many things which we did and also didn't understand it was a mistake, like lust. Acts of lust, we didn't know it was a mistake. We didn't know that taking hurt was a mistake. Yes, taking sorrow was a mistake. So there are lots of things which we did and didn't know that was a mistake. And Baba says that there are lots of things. So earlier we had thoughts of fear and worry and shame, and we didn't think that was a mistake. We didn't think guilt was a mistake. But now we know these are all mistakes. Yes, we know that impurity is a mistake. We know many things are mistakes now. And then the second thing is acts of commission, we earlier also recognized, but omission. Doing something, not doing something that you ought to do is also a mistake. So, not practicing soul consciousness, not remembering Baba, not doing seva, not practicing purity is a mistake. Not doing Amrit Vela is a mistake. So earlier we thought only doing something wrong was a mistake. But now we know that there are three kinds of mistake. Doing something that I shouldn't do, and the understanding of that has also widened because now we understand vices much better. Then we understand that not doing something that Baba has directed us to do is a mistake. And then taking sorrow is a mistake. Right? So now Baba says, don't think, if you make a small mistake but don't speak about it, the mistake will continue to increase. And why are all these things a mistake? Because you will pay for it towards the end. Yes, so things that don't look like a mistake right now are creating sanskars which we will have to deal with at the end of the journey. And let me tell you, this conscious mind will not be with you all the time. After some time, only the subconscious, only the sanskars will be there with you. You will not be able to, process your thoughts the way you do with the help of a good brain right now. So, right now we are clever. We are able to hide our true feelings and, work with a pseudo identity and everything. But soon this time will end and we will pay heavily for these mistakes. So Baba says that if you are making a mistake, which is doing what Baba is asking you not to do, not doing what Baba is asking you to do, then Baba says correct it. Because if you don't correct it, it will continue to increase. Baba says there is a story of a son who pulled his mother's ear because she didn't caution him in his childhood. And that child said, "If you had cautioned me earlier, I would not have been jailed." You know this story? A child stole a pencil in the school, and then his mother didn't caution him that this is theft and you shouldn't do it. And then later on, he kept on stealing. He became a thief. And when he was jailed, he told his mother, "Why didn't you warn me the first day I stole something?" Because bad habits only increase. And that's why Baba is giving us this caution. Baba is giving us the understanding of mistakes, and Baba is also cautioning us that don't take the mistakes lightly. Now that I have given you the understanding of what is the right thing to do and what is not the right thing to do, you must stick to it, you must correct your mistakes. Otherwise, the mistakes will increase and it will change into a sanskar. And the burden of that sanskar you will have to pay in your final moments, and also it will, it will not allow you to get a good position in the golden age. So Baba says, all of those are stories. And today Baba also says, you must never steal. So, stealing is a habit which many children have, and stealing is so common that in the world there is a category called kleptomaniacs. And then people steal without a reason, and this is a truth. And there are many people who have this habit of stealing. And if you have a habit of stealing, then Baba says you must never steal. And just think about it. Stealing is such a big sin that you can absolutely remember all that you have stolen in your life. So, even if you have stolen a pencil, you can't forget it. Can you forget it? Can somebody steal and forget? They cannot forget it. You remember all the things you have stolen in life if you have done that. You can never forget that which you have stolen. And it's such a big sin that all those acts of theft lie heavy in your heart. Think about it. And it's like, when you've taken a loan and not repaid it, it weighs heavy in your heart. It creates stress and tension. And it's the same with stealing. You know that you're keeping something which is not your own and you have to repay it. The soul knows it. And it stays heavy in your heart. That's why we suffer so much because of this corruption and stealing. And stealing is not just, stealing things or stealing something. No, money, no. Stealing is whenever you are, you abusing your power and your position and your place. All that is stealing. Taking something that is not rightfully yours is stealing. And when you have done that, whether it is with regard to some position, some seat, some abuse, some office of power, you can never forget it. And even if nobody figures it out, you know it, and it weighs heavy in your heart. So Baba says you should never steal, and stealing is, and you really pay for this stealing. And I will tell you one thing. So there was this sister, and it's such a sweet incident which tells you what stealing does to you. So there was this murli about this stealing one day. And then there is this sister who comes to the center, and she's really well off. I tell you, it's not like she has any. She's a yagya sevadhari also. She does a lot of seva also for Baba. She financially contributes also. And then when there was this murli about stealing, she said, Didi, I have to confess something, and I can't sleep since the day this happened. And I want to confess it before the whole class because it's eating me up. So I said, what is it? Tell me. So she said, Didi, one day I came to the center. I was hungry. There was nobody around. And there were grapes on the table. And I ate it without asking anybody. And it's been heavy on my heart. I don't know. Uh, it's just grapes, Didi, but I couldn't get over it. And to this day, I feel I'm hiding that. And she said this in front of the whole class. So, taking something without permission, and so it's not about that, it's not about what you took, but this act weighs heavy on your heart. And especially Baba's children, when we are cleaning everything from inside, this really weighs heavy in our heart. So Baba says, get over this thing. And then Baba says, otherwise this habit will be instilled in you and there will be a lot of punishment from Dharamraj. And stealing is a habit that only grows. In Hindi it is said, Kak ka chor so lak ka chor. So if you steal a little thing today, tomorrow you will steal something big. That's for sure. Because that's a habit you've developed. So not taking something that's not your own is a virtue which you should adhere to. And then Baba says that there will be a lot of punishment from Dharmraj, and that punishment is mostly subtle, it gnaws in your heart. And then Baba today says, it is better to die than to ask for anything. And Baba says, Mangne se marna bhala. This is also one teaching that Baba is giving us. And I told you, pay attention to this Shrimat, because Baba today says that get rid of desire. Appreciate that whatever you have is enough, and if it is not enough, it's never going to be enough. So Baba says that I am asking you to be a beggar. Beggar means somebody who doesn't even think that this body is his own. So I am asking you to also give up on the body. And now, if you have other desires, you will suffer a lot. So Baba says, you are in Baba's lap, you are in Baba's hands. Baba will give you all that you need. Have faith in this. Do you have faith that Baba loves me so much that my needs will always be met? Yes. Somebody once asked me, how do you differentiate between need and greed? So I said, all that my Baba fulfills for me is my need, and all that remains unfulfilled is greed. Because I am Baba's child, so if I need something, he will always take care of it. And if it's not being taken care of, then I must understand it is not need, it is greed. So Baba says, never have a thought that I want this. Baba says, Mangne se marna bhala, and there is a very good interpretation of this, which is Baba is asking you to die, and Baba is asking you not to ask. So when you die from your desires, when you die from your old old life of which was full of desires, then all your desires will get fulfilled on its own. So Baba says, don't ask, just die now. Okay? Om Shanti.